things are stuck, and they're gonna. Welcome to the Gonzo Radio Show. Yeah, the image is stuck on just doing the ventriloquism now. It's all there's. Don't move your lips. My eyes are moving, aren't they? Welcome. Happy Father's Day. Yes, it becomes increasingly more daunting to talk about sports lately because we're getting a lot of negative stuff. Getting a lot of fighting. Baseball, Major League Baseball, and the owners are fighting about how many games and prorated salary and how much is this and what is that safety. So yeah, the coronavirus has pretty much screwed everything up. It's the end of the world. So let's talk about sports. Seated across from me, shrugging his shoulders and rolling his eyes and wondering where it all went wrong and totally sideways out of frame. Scoot over before I you're an embarrassment, for God's sakes.
I can't see myself.
Sit up straight. How come you can't see yourself?
I'm looking at a picture of you. It's not a bad picture, but it's a picture of you. I'd like to see myself.
I'll go over there and look over your shoulder. Welcome to Mazz.
Happy Father's Day to everybody. Happy Father's Day to my father, who I'm sure is watching. Happy Father's Day, Dad. And to all the other fathers out there that are tuning into our show, or that will tune into our show.
What did you do?
I did nothing.
You broke it.
I did nothing.
I'll be back.
Yeah, sports. It's a major conundrum on so many levels right now as to who's going to start, how they're going to play, is it going to be safe, what's the money constraints looking like for some of the leagues, like you talked about Major League Baseball, college football. It's coming, it's not coming. There's players now that are being sent home that are testing positive for COVID. Clearly, the COVID, even though we may feel somewhat apathetic towards it, just because it's been going on for so long. And we've been dealing with it for so long, it doesn't minimize it by any level at all. Obviously, it's still a major player. It's still killing people. It's still affecting people's lives. So there's a lot of hurdles still for these sports to be able to have to get back to any sort of normalcy and to have any sort of semblance to what it was pre-COVID. Because certainly things are going to be much different moving forward, even once they get established in some kind of way to get these sports underway. And that's across all the landscapes, football included. It even looked like football, the king of sports, was going to be, continue to move forward. But as you can see now, they've got players coming out and they're being tested positive as well. Ezekiel Elliott was a big name that got tested positive.
So, sorry, I'm doing technical stuff, and a big blink just happened, and my eyes got huge. That's what he was giggling at. Did anything explode over on your side?
I see a little bit of smoke, but I'm not sure that's the computer.
Okay, but is yours still frozen in the same frame?
No, it's a screen share picture of a couple of computers and like two small baby computers, like
Okay.
the children of the big computer. It's like a Father's Day theme kind of meme for computers.
You're scaring all 4 listeners.
Yeah. So, very interesting. But anyway, I don't need to see myself. I know what I look like.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, I mean, at least with football, at least I think I can safely say
We hope.
that if, obviously they have a plan in place to get started. Schedules have been announced. Some of the camps are starting to open. They're allowing players to come to the facilities.
Is it back?
Yeah, but I've got something in the middle that will kind of leave you.
There.
Hey, there we are. I'm in the middle too. I got some redhead behind me.
It's like a kid that sees himself in the mirror for the first time.
You
Like,
look good on
"Ooh,
camera. That's amazing.
I'm on camera.
You have some sort of confidence with the NFL that at least if Plan A is not executed, that there's a B, C, and a D.
Oh, you know.
Yeah. So
Roger Goodell has a Plan D, a Plan E. There is nothing that is going to stop the NFL from playing at least 12 football games.
Yeah, I can't see any
And the playoffs. And a
any
Super Bowl.
way at this point. And again, there are lots of reasons why. Obviously, it's the NFL. We've mentioned how,
Empty arena football.
however it is, we've mentioned how good Roger Goodell is at adapting, and the NFL has been so efficient at that. They have a huge advantage too, because being the last to kind of get to the party in this instance works out well for them, because they get to now see.
Everybody else is their guinea pig.
Yeah, pretty much. You got Bundesliga's already started, NASCAR, Korean baseball. If
Yeah, it's
MLB,
like, nah, go ahead, open up. Let me see how you guys do.
yeah, if MLB gets their shit together, NBA, obviously they've got their season ready to go at the end of next month. So they'll be able to kind of look and see where these leagues have either succeeded or failed, and then therefore be able to kind of counter any particular problems that may or may not arise. So they got a huge advantage in that way. So again, confidence at least in the horizon. We do have a sport that is going to be playing at some point.
Sport.
Yeah, so baseball, we've talked about it. There's a proposal on the table now for an extremely shortened season. I've seen anywhere from 50 to 65 games. But now, just in the last day or two, multiple teams and players have been testing positive, training staff and such. They've sent players home. They've gotten them off of the spring training facilities, and now they're telling them to go home and pretty much report to your team and work out at the team's facilities.
No, listen. Let me point out a little something hilarious, okay, and not to be too tangential about this, and give you a chance to take a sip of your coffee, which is slowly getting cold and sitting there. And I know you like it hot like lava. But as you well know, and you and I, we part of our pregame is we sit on the back porch and I'll smoke a cigar and we pontificate about current events. And sometimes it drifts over into politics and sociopolitics and things like that. And I'm an all about the money guy. It's all about the money. No matter who president is, okay, no matter who the Congress is, no matter who with the D, the R, it's all about the, okay. And that's what this is about with Major League Baseball. Okay, the owners are billionaires that are not going to take the hit. Billionaires don't take the hit. You take the hit. I take the hit. We're fans. We're guys who get wrapped up in it. Okay, the players, they're only millionaires. They're going to take the hit. Okay, now you can couch it all in player safety and you can couch it all in fan safety and all you want, but it comes down to. Okay, and everybody thought Johnny Manziel was an idiot. No, he knows.
He knows, yeah. Well,
he knows.
Obviously, the owners know.
Okay.
If they play or not, they're going to take a huge hit.
Oh, yeah.
And they probably
this is
take
already a PR nightmare.
Yeah,
it's already a PR nightmare.
They probably, in all honesty, take a bigger hit if they play. So, with that in their pocket, obviously that's why I think they propose so high in the sky in terms of on their side and them not having to take as much as a hit.
Right.
But obviously the players, they stepped from that and said, no way, we're not, this is ridiculous, and we've talked about that too. It's unfortunate that obviously the COVID thing has happened, but you either adjust and adapt and accept the new, whatever that's going to be, because that is still not been established. And see, the unfortunate is that doesn't happen until you take your first step, and then the second step, and then you misstep, and then it's a lateral move. And so, but baseball is still in the mud. They still haven't taken any positive steps towards agreements on many fronts. The money, the safety protocols that are going to have to be in place.
Yeah, the only positive steps have been that players have tested positive for coronavirus.
And that's pretty much what we
the
know.
only positive thing that's happened so far.
So stay tuned for baseball, I guess. But you got Korean baseball. I've watched some of it.
Love it. It's awesome. You know why? Because it's baseball.
It's that too. It's unfortunate that you're watching the Doosan Tigers versus the Kaiwan, whoever the hell they're from. It's not great. And I don't want to sound insensitive here, but first of all, you can't read the names on the back of the jerseys because I don't speak Korean. Even the American players have symbols.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you're like,
he
looks like Preston Tucker, but that's not what his jersey says.
Justin Tucker, who's got?
No, it's Preston Tucker.
Oh, Preston Tucker.
He's
Oh,
an
okay.
outfielder. He was in the Astros organization.
Well, isn't there's another guy that's
There's a lot of I can name a lot of American players over there.
but there's a couple of them that are going over there now. The kid from the Cubs. Crap, I forgot his name.
I haven't seen any practice of guys moving.
Well,
we have a local guy, Dan Straley. He was a Marlins pitcher the last
Right.
couple of years. He pitches over there.
no.
J.P. Crawford, who's in the Phillies organization, he plays over there.
Because they cut checks.
They make a decent amount. You know what? It's funny. I in terms of what their standard is, compared to our dollar standard, the high-end Korean baseball players make about $1 million a year. Okay. Now that's Korean money. Obviously, that's not a conversion into. So, and $1 million, that's a pretty good living over there. Some of the American players obviously are paid pretty well over there because otherwise they wouldn't be there. I think the highest priced player in terms of what his career earnings was, he's been in the Korean Baseball League, only Korean Baseball League, for about 22 years now. Okay, this guy's like 41 years old. He's going to retire this year. I don't have his name.
Something Korean.
Yeah, something Kwan. His career earnings have eclipsed about $20 million. So that's not a bad gig, if you think about it, for a guy that's playing a sport he loves. Their seasons aren't as arduous as ours. They're not playing 162 games. But again, I mean, I'm not trying to discredit their baseball. maybe I am a little. It's what they do. It's their sport. It's huge in Korea, and it's huge over on that side of the world. Baseball is still in many countries. Taiwan.
Not for nothing, but you're a
Yeah.
douchebag. Yeah.
But,
No disrespect.
Yeah, hey, don't disrespect. But hey, it's baseball. So if you don't mind getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and watching Korean baseball, then it's on ESPN pretty much every night but Mondays, because on Sunday they don't play over there, by the way. So
You're killing me.
So that's how Korean
Not for
baseball
nothing,
goes.
no disrespect.
Anyway, so that's Korean baseball, folks, and here we go. What's next?
Oh, Christ. Hang on. I'm busy sharing our social medias around and dying here. Like, not for nothing, no disrespect, but you suck.
That's funny. I guess we could talk about football again, maybe like players and sorts of things that go on in the actual game and not COVID stuff.
Sure. Well, listen. Everything is centered around the coronavirus right now, by virtue of the fact that it's omnipresent. It is omnipresent. It is now made itself ubiquitous. We have to do everything. We have to do it with consideration to this horrible virus.
It's the nucleus of everything.
Well, and you as a guy who's had it, okay, and you can please describe the experience for everyone, especially all the people out there who are chafing at not wearing a mask or chafing about staying inside for an extra month or so. Could you explain? Could you describe the experience?
For me, again, and we've talked about some of it, I feel like I was fortunate. As sick as I was,
Right.
and as terrible as I felt, and as scared as I was,
And pre-existing conditions, while not terrible, you still had them.
and still I'm dealing with some stuff right now as well, which we
Right.
don't talk about now. But yeah, so yeah, it was about 10 days of hell for me.
Right.
It was the fever, it was the aches and pains, it was the weight loss, it was just, again, just not knowing
It kicked your ass.
not knowing what direction I was going to go.
Right.
Because everything you heard, everything you saw, I mean, you can see the numbers.
Ventilator
People are
death.
dying from this. It's not something that is just, when people say it's just the flu. Well, okay, fine. Maybe it is a type of flu. It is a type of airborne or surface-borne or whatever it is, however you get it, all the many ways you can get it. It is not just the flu, okay? It
Yeah.
is the flu on steroids
Right.
in the 90s in MLB. That's what it was. It was 500-foot home runs every time you got up to bat, and that's what it was for me. It was just very,
Right.
very bad, scary 10 days. And then following, too, not getting all the tests and finally getting the tests and getting the results. And then, again, just it's not something to ever take lightly at this point. It's still a part of our culture, of our society.
Yeah.
It affects everything we do.
And there's still people out there that refuse to wear masks or take any sort of precaution. They're like, I believe in my immune system. You know, I believe in my immune system too. You and I, by virtue of the fact of where we've worked together for the last 10 years, okay, and the environment and the times that we have contracted what we like to call bar funk, and it could be any version of a smoke-borne rhinovirus or bacterial infection.
Sure.
You know, and I mean, I've seen you work sick. I've worked sick. Okay, you know, but we're not not shaking hands. We're bumping fists. You know, all that. We're taking precautions for people, being polite, being considerate. All right, or don't hug me. You know, don't kiss me. Back up. You know.
There's just so much complexity to the virus,
Right.
and so much different
But,
levels of
but
information.
no, but I'm saying I believe in my immune system, and I'm sure you believed in your immune system, okay? And when you caught it, it was still really early in the game, of the spread of this virus, okay? And because I know you personally, and I know about some of your pre-existing conditions, and because we've worked in such a smoky environment, a people-y environment, an active environment,
It was a little scary.
I was a little worried for you.
Yeah, sure. I was too. when
Okay,
was going
I mean,
through it.
why do you think I kept texting and calling every day?
Yeah.
I'm not an everyday guy. Just ask my ex-girlfriends.
Yeah.
But I kept tabs of you, okay, because I took it seriously from the jump, okay, because we've been guinea pigs, man. We've gone through it. We've had the funks, okay. Let's put it this way: in our business, when somebody calls in sick, they're dying. They're dying. They're not a little under the weather. No, they're dying.
Yeah, it's not well. They're
dying. I would go to work, and from now on, when that happens, I'll wear a mask even if it's next year, it's 2022, whatever.
The new.
Yeah, because you know why? Stop spreading shit. Sorry, I had to curse at least once.
I got one coming.
I haven't dropped any F-bombs yet, which I'm very, very proud of
We're
myself.
like 20 minutes into the show. We got
Right.
Yeah.
But I can't believe the resistance to, once again, the mask and the washing of hands. And and it's like, and people are going, "Oh, you're a mask Nazi. Oh, you're a hand washing Nazi." I'm like, no, little kids know to do this.
Yeah.
How do you not know how to do? Oh, I believe in my immune system. You believed in your immune system, and still you had what is now considered to be the ultimate horror show. Although nobody's really talked about Ebola and how that was a horror show. Okay, you didn't get a chance to get on the ventilator with Ebola. Ebola turned your insides to liquid crap.
Yeah.
Okay, in like a day. But that's besides that horror virus. Okay, that was dealt with. This is a different one, and people need to realize that these precautions are necessary, and they need to realize that not everybody's going to die, but a whole lot of people are going to get it. Okay, it's as simple as that. So we need, as a culture, to move forward through that prism. Okay, no matter what you may feel or believe.
How do you fight,
Okay.
though, which is just human nature, is the urges for complacency, for the short memories, because that's what's happening. That's
That's part of natural selection then.
Because that's what will happen eventually. Is the weak will be kind of cast aside.
Well, and
unfortunately.
not even the weak. They can be physically strong,
Yeah.
okay, but they're weak between the ears, and they don't want to. They don't want to pay attention to basic science, okay, and the math in front of their face, because science doesn't care. Science does not care. Viruses don't care. Okay, cooties don't care. I got a Band-Aid on my head because a horsefly, DGAF, did not give an F, did not care. You, right in the forehead. Okay, and I mean, that made me sick. Okay, that made me sick to the point of I didn't go to the hospital, okay, 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, 10 days ago. I didn't go to the hospital because I didn't want to bother the hospital with this. Okay, this was almost like a boo-boo. Because what were we hearing 8-10 days ago? Cases on the rise, cases on the rise, cases on the rise. And what am I going to do? I'm going to bring my boo-boo into the hospital when some 68-year-old grandma's coming in there and half dead. And we got to put her on a ventilator.
That's one of the layered effects of what's going on now, because
Right.
people aren't going to get stuff that they may normally get fixed
Right.
in a hospital, at the doctor's offices and stuff like that.
MD now. I went
And
to an
then
emergency center,
Those things progressively potentially get worse,
Yeah.
Going unchecked. So
I'm an idiot.
it's a whole cascading of effects that people need to realize that
Stop being a tough guy.
don't just be aware of the COVID, but be aware in some capacity of the different layerings of issues and problems that are still out there in relation to the COVID, okay, in relation to the spreading and the acquiring of COVID. So,
Well, speaking of guinea pigs, social guinea pigs, you're talking about how all the sports leagues, the sports leagues that are be opening before the NFL even, sort of implements camps. What you've been seeing now is the informal workouts have been spawning, just super catchy situations, and now you have these little explosions of cases.
yeah, baseball's an
Okay?
example of that.
Right, Clemson,
Well, that's college football.
college football.
Yeah, there's been 20-something cases.
And that was
Kansas State.
an informal practice. That was an
Yeah.
informal workout. The boys got together and threw the ball around, and 23 people
Well,
got
we know
infected.
it's not
Okay,
so much
so-
the fact that if one person gets COVID or has COVID and is asymptomatic or can spread the disease,
Yep.
they can very easily access 5 others, which then in turn can access 50 others, which in 10, again, so it's that cascading effect of transmission
Right.
that puts everybody at risk.
I'm sorry, everybody, that we've gone off on Corona talk, but because it is affecting sports so much, we've kind of gone, we've strayed away from sports, but we're still on sports.
Yeah.
I swear we're still on sports, but what I've seen now, personally, it's affected our network. It's affected the Gonzo Radio network now, okay? There was an asymptomatic positive tester, somebody who was asymptomatic, and it was in the stand-up comedy community. And he did a show where he came into contact with a few members of this network, okay? And I had big plans today. There were big plans. There was going to be, I have a photo shoot set for everybody for the website. Get everybody headshots. Get everybody background shots on that lovely background that's right behind you. Give us your best sportscaster face. Hey, see, I was going to get one of those.
Yeah.
So, and I was going to have in studios tonight. I was going to be the producer tonight. I was going to do 2 shows and shoot the stuff out there, and then switch into a show and switch out. We had plans. We had stuff ready to go. But because several of those comics happen to be hosts here, and they're all going and getting tested, and then I find out that at another show where there were about 20 people in the audience, we had one confirmed positive case from one member of the audience that infected several comics, or at least came in contact with him. So through contact tracing, we and my network have managed to survive, hopefully, knock wood. Okay, everybody's all right, nobody comes up positive, or nobody, at least you come up positive, at least you don't, you didn't come up negative, because let's all remember, it's sort of like HIV and AIDS. HIV, we have the medicine to live with, a remedy for it, so you can maintain your body, your immune system. AIDS is going to kill you. Okay, well, now it's with coronavirus. Okay, people are like, I have it? Really? Okay, no problem. I feel okay. Okay, you're asymptomatic. Good for you. Now, you stay home and watch your health, and 2 weeks later, get a test. Well, I can't take 2 weeks off of work. Well, guess what? You have to.
Yeah, now you do. Now you have
Sorry.
to make those adjustments.
So now you're going to need coronavirus
Yeah.
insurance.
Well, because we've already taken
Aflac.
4 months off, most of us.
Aflac.
And we don't want to have to get to the point where things get opened again, and then at some point later, again, they have to shut things down.
Right.
So it's a race against the clock in terms of the vaccine.
Remedies.
Or remedies. at
Remedies.
least.
It's remedies.
First
It's
step
gonna be
remedies,
remedies.
and then obviously
Right.
vaccine at some
Well,
point.
and then 40% of everybody's not going to take the vaccine because they're afraid of vaccines. So they're not even going to go for it.
Right, which
So I'm not waiting for a vaccine. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for what's a good name? Here's a good one for you. A little comedy for you. Okay, what would be a good name for a COVID remedy like Theraflu, Tamiflu, Robitussin? What would be a good name for the over the counter? You're going to see a commercial on TV. Oh, my COVID is acting up. Here, take COVID off. Or Corona away. And you're gonna have maybe have a little coronavirus cartoon. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna mess up your weekend. Boom, boom, boom. Usually, and when symptoms persist, usually symptoms are mitigated in 3 to 5 days. Please consult a physician. Da 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 da.
Side effects are.
Third
tit, extra leg, club
Pee
foot.
out your butt.
Yeah, so good luck with that.
But wait, that happens anyway. You pee out your butt anyway. So, so we're gonna get there though, okay? Because I mean, up until the late '60s, there was no over-the-counter treatment for the flu. There wasn't. I mean, people talk about the influenza kills everybody, and I'm not comparing influenza. They're not the same diseases. They don't have the same death rates.
Yeah, viruses.
Okay, but they're viruses. Okay, that's the commonality, and they spread fairly freely and quickly amongst people, and they kill the crap out of them. But we're going to, and now we are the victims. Our society, sports, are the victims of either our inability to move fast enough and evolve fast enough to this situation. It's either inability or it's lack of willpower to do it.
No, I think that's changed now. I think the willpower is in place.
It's been beaten into
Yeah,
us.
because now you got to get back to work. You have to be productive.
Because coronavirus DGAF, it doesn't care. Same way hurricanes don't care. Oh, I had a weekend. I had a great weekend planned. Well, guess what? Hurricane Dorothy DGAF. Earthquakes don't care. Bird flu don't care. Didn't you? You had the bird flu, didn't you?
I never shit a feather, but I'm not really sure. Actually, I had some sort of flu, not the bird flu.
No.
No.
I remember 3-4 years ago you had something that was just like, bleh.
I've had some stomach issues and other things like that, but no.
And ugly too, but still,
It's just normal.
it's a matter of we are going to have to adjust. We just are. We're going to have to adjust. So while I go look at our social medias, while I go look at the chat room, and say hi to both people in it, why don't you go ahead and tell us about what's happening with what you got?
Well, baseball we talked about.
Right.
College football.
Right.
Again, the problem with the college
Yeah,
football
everybody getting sick.
is it's not regulated like the NFL is, where you got one guy kind of calling the shots, and then you got a bunch of owners and stuff for the teams, representation, stuff like that.
got
It's a
the
little
board.
more regimented. It's a little more easier to control. College football, it's based up to the universities, obviously through the conferences. They're going to have a major issue because again, you got kids too that you're involved, and kids generally don't really kind of play by the rules as the adults tend to do. Although these days, I don't think the adults play by the rules either. But in any case, there's a lot of schools we've talked about. Clemson with a bunch of kids that were sick. Kansas
Bunch.
State, a bunch of kids that were sick. So again, it will hope if they have contingency plans in place to get the season started. They're going to need backup plans, and they're going to need a lot of them because it's going to be ever changing. The directions in which they think they're going to be headed towards a particular goal, plan for derailment because it's going to happen at some point. The NFL, again, to go back as an example, they've potentially shortened the season. They've gotten rid of some exhibition games. They're expanding rosters. College, I'm not sure what their contingency plans are, but I'm hoping they have many because this, again, is still going to be treading through very difficult times. So the waters are choppy, to say the least, when it comes to sports and safety protocols and all this other stuff. Because again, we've talked about it, it's not just the athletes you're trying to protect. It's everybody that athlete then potentially comes in contact with, other students and their families and faculty, and it just goes on and on. So very,
Well,
very difficult.
here's another irony for you that you have a guy like Cam Newton who is out there who is
Unemployed.
inexplicably unemployed.
Still.
Now we understand all the factors that go into that. Okay, they can't get their hands on him. They can't examine that bad foot or that bad shoulder that was reconstructed. They can't examine, but they see the tape. They see the workouts. Okay, they get the reports. Cam and his camp have shared all of his information. It's kind of like the Tua situation, okay, where Tua and his camp shared all the information, and they shared a workout video. That's just the workout video that we saw. The other parts of the workout video, which, that workout was like 40 minutes long. We only got to see about a minute and a half of it in the snippets.
The clips.
Okay, the kid was in good shape. That's the reason why the Dolphins were like, they're looking around and go, oh, us? Like you didn't know?
And remember, too, the Dolphins, in his case, were on him prior to
Right.
the COVID thing as well.
Right.
They were all in.
They tried to fly. They tried to fly him in,
so-
and they were like, "No, nobody flies. Everybody stops flying. No more flying." I'd have sent him a car. I would have sent him a camper. I would have sent him something and pick him up, sit down with a doctor in it. Okay, send him, a guy, two people in contact with him, a doctor and a driver.
I don't think the
You
Cam
know?
thing is as much as you're saying a physical thing as it is a mental thing.
Well, yeah, people are starting to talk about how he's a cancer in the locker room.
Some things like that too. Also, just performance
buy it.
outside of the one good year under Rivera,
Yeah.
and again, just those numbers that looked very gaudy at that time. His style of play doesn't lend to success for a guy that's had injuries and is 30 years old anymore. He can't
Sure.
run over you anymore like he used to. He can't. His accuracy has always been a concern. He's never been an accurate
It's
quarterback,
hovered around 58, 59%.
which is like bottom of the barrel in
it's
terms of
only
these quarterbacks.
it's only 3% below the average.
No, it's worse. I'm telling you, anybody right now throws for
All right,
62%.
all right,
in the
all right,
NFL.
but okay, but here's the premise that I'm proposing. We get to game 5, and you see a star player fall off here. See a star player fall off there, okay, and then you also have probably a few players around them that are also going to go. So there's a cascade effect to a positive test. You lose 5 players for at least 2 weeks. Gone.
Oh, he'll find work in
Yeah.
that sense for sure.
How fast is he going to get the call?
No
How
question.
fast? Help!
Yeah, no question.
Okay.
And that's an advantage for Cam. Well, he's definitely pro-virus right now.
Huge.
But outside of that, just as standalone, again, somehow trying to remove the virus from the equation, there aren't many football teams right now looking for quarterbacks either. And that's a disadvantage for Cam in terms of starting rosters and teams that are set with who they have. Cam, that's part of the reason also why he has not landed on anybody's roster.
I'm
So-
saying it's going to be. Here's my new Super Bowl prediction. Okay, it's going to be the Cam Newton-led New England Patriots versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Brady, at one point in the season, will test positive and be out for 2 weeks. May not get sick, may not get COVID or nothing, but he'll be out for 2 weeks. Okay, you're going to see superstars, quarterbacks, game-changing players are going to be told to sit down for 2+ weeks. Sit your butt down. Sit down. You have the Rona. Sit. You have to. And then 2 negative tests, and then you can come back to practice. And then good news, antibody tests. Good news. You can go around and hug people now. Okay, you can go around hugging and kissing and high-fiving and dirty footballing and all of that. Okay, but there will be superstars that'll go down.
I believe it. It's it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly if one team gets it, it doesn't matter who gets it. Everybody's at risk.
Yeah.
And since football
The
is that-
whole quarterback room
Yeah.
will be done.
And again, what they're doing now, especially in college, is they're putting players that were even exposed to players or other people that had the virus, without even the testing, they're putting those players in quarantine.
Yeah, you start quarantine immediately.
So-
you start to quarantine immediately.
Once it gets into a locker room, okay, no matter who the team may be,
Yeah.
aren't you not going to have to then quarantine pretty much anybody that was in that locker room at that point?
I don't want to be glib, okay, but it almost seems like these football teams should have, what parents used to do in the old days when one kid had chicken pox. Oh, my kid hasn't had chicken pox. Bring that little sucker over here and get my kid sick.
Like the herd immunity.
Yeah, have a herd
Yeah.
immunity party.
Well, they should have
You know.
started that in March, because
Right.
then by now everybody would have had the antibodies.
Right.
But that's not what happened.
But the chicken pox aren't nearly as deadly as the coronavirus.
I mean,
Sorry,
the
I
NBA
don't mean to be glib about it. I'm not being glib about it. I'm just saying it's almost like the cynic in me is like, just get it over with.
The
But,
NBA
somebody could die.
is approaching this with a bubble mentality.
And they
Okay?
should.
And the NFL, unfortunately, it's a lot more difficult to do that. One, because you have so many more people involved. Rosters are 56 and to be expand. Basketball is not like that, so it's a lot easier to control less people. Football from a numbers perspective, from a personnel perspective, has got a huge disadvantage. They've got a lot more people to keep track of. So certainly when you've got more people in the mix, your chances of obtaining or coming in contact with COVID go up exponentially. So, and again, only one person has to show positive or be exposed in order to put all those great numbers more at risk. So from a numbers game, again, football has the disadvantage when it comes to at least basketball. So that's, again, just another challenge, hurdle that the NFL is going to and probably have to face at multiple parts during the season, with probably, I would say, a good part of all the teams. Because again, COVID doesn't have any boundaries, and these teams are not staying within their little bubbles. They're going to be making contact with and other stadiums and training facilities and other things. I mean, you can only micromanage those situations so much. You can only cleanse the environments and prepare and whatever you do that they feel are the particular safety protocols in place to keep this from spreading. I mean, there's only so many things you can do. I mean, just to use a lack of a better analogy, once the cat's out of the bag, the cat's out of the bag. You can't get him back in the bag. So just huge hurdles. It's kind of a wait and see approach. It's going to be hard when you throw out a Super Bowl prediction. I mean, I guess I'd almost kind of like to see that, just because the stories will be told leading up to that, and the drama and whatnot, and Brady and Cam and whatnot. But it's
Would
hard.
there be an asterisk next to it?
No, I'm not buying the asterisk story.
What about any championship?
No, not fair. Because again, the playing field is level. I mean, so everybody's going to be facing that same level of challenge. It's just going to be, I think, harder to get to that finish line, to get to the crest. I think if you want an asterisk, it's a positive one, because you will have overcome obstacles that nobody has had yet to face, and that everybody got an equal opportunity to, and yet you overcame it. You are the champion of everything involved. And again, I think these roads are going to be very difficult for all of us. So But again, leading back to what I'm saying about football and the teams and the challenges they're going to have to face, it's going to be so hard to predict on any level, games and champions and winners, and I mean just on any level, because you don't know what's going to happen week 4. A guy gets sick and it's one of the guys you had as the MVP, or it's let's say Patrick Mahomes goes down for 2 weeks, although they're good enough to overcome 2 games. You got middle of the road teams, like you got Ben coming back for the Steelers, okay? You can argue that they're going to compete for the division, okay? That's a good division. You got Browns that are better on paper now, and you got Baker with another year of different coaching. Obviously, we all know who the Ravens are and how good Lamar Jackson is, and Harbaugh and such. But if these key players go down, and you don't have...
that's how the backups are suddenly the second stringers. The guy on the bench is now vital.
Of course, but now you start to have to assess almost what your benches are looking like and your reserve talent is, and that should be the real gauge of what your team is. It's got to be a balanced approach. Of any years that we've ever played these sports, when that whole cliche gets thrown around, oh, it's a team sport. Well, guess what? This year in football and all the other sports, it is a team sport, because
Huge.
there is not a player on that roster that's going to be any more or less valuable than anyone else, because at some point everybody's going to have to contribute.
You're going to have 1 or 2 quarantined quarterbacks. In other words, they will sit in on meetings
But they can't do anything else.
via Zoom.
Yeah.
Via Zoom.
We can't take the chance of having A.J. McCarron show
Right.
up at your meeting.
They will throw off to the side. Okay, you're going to need a quarantine team. It's not even going to be a practice squad, because the practice squad they're there to take the physical load off of starters and vital backups.
They're the
So you're going to need a
simulation
quarantine squad.
Yeah.
Okay, these guys are all going to be quarantined together. They're going to practice on their own little corner of the field. They're going to have their quarantine coaching staff that just deals with them. You're going to have that. You're going to have so you're going to be on the quarantine team.
That's true.
It's just as simple as that. You are on the quarantine squad.
Yeah.
And here's the best part. During the game, or on game day, okay, they will get dressed in a separate room. And after the pregame test, which, how are they getting their results back almost instantaneously while we got to wait 6 days for
I
ours?
don't know. I guess they got money. They got
Rich
ways.
folks.
They got ways. Yeah.
If somebody pops off a test, everybody gets tested, and if somebody in the game pops off, then you have to be able to go to the quarantine locker room and pull the quarantine player and go and slot them in. It's as simple as that. So that's how A.J. McCarron could end up starting for you. Okay, that's how that's how we're going to see some wild substitutions this year. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts, and it's going to be great.
Well, Vegas and the odds makers and such have got to be just coming up with some semblance of formulas right now. There's a couple of doctors that have now been brought in these rooms where these lines are being established, and they're trying to figure out, well, how do we set this line? I mean, what happens if so and so misses the second half? I mean, can you potentially see players getting pulled at halftime? A guy comes down with symptoms, he's exerting himself, he's now immune compressed, he's in 90-degree heat, and he's tired, and he's got some heat exhaustion. All of a sudden, he's in field, he throws up. You run him to the locker room and test him. I mean, it's insanity. It's going to be insanity. So it's going to be very difficult to make these sorts of predictions. But we'll do it, and we'll give you our best effort. Fantasy football this year is going to be fun, isn't it? Think about that. When you think you have your lineup set for the week, and all of a sudden Sunday morning your guy comes out and he's got COVID, and you're like, oh man, I need a tight end 3. What are you going to do? So yeah,
Can I tell you something really bizarre? And you're going to look at me like I just grew a second head.
Well, you may have.
I just got an instant message about and I'm very disturbed right now. And I'm probably going to continue to process it through my feelings, but I feel like it has to be said. There's a scandal out, a sex scandal out in the professional wrestling world in South Florida, and it just hit my instant messenger right now. I'm not going to speak out loud on it. I'm not going to speak about it.
Who is it? I want to
I
know.
mean, no, you have no idea who these people are. I know who these people are.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's
Okay?
going to be mainstream.
I know who these people are. I know the victim personally.
Oh, boy.
I know that I encouraged the victim to get into the professional wrestling business, and I had no idea that she would be taken advantage of like that. Very sweet girl, very smart girl, and it kind of hurt my feelings a couple of years ago, where I hadn't seen her for a little while, and she had been in the business for a bit, and she kind of got a little like standoffish, okay? And one thing that I know for a fact, being in the business, is that sometimes it gets a cult mentality, because that's the mentality that it had back in the day. It was very cultish. They spoke Carney, and they had their own language, and they pretty much watched each other's ass, and it was all a real tight cult type of mentality, and that's fine. I like that exclusivity of the club, but now there's a sex scandal coming down, where this girl that I know is the victim, and I'm a little disturbed.
Very unfortunate.
Disturbed enough to derail my sports show, just to touch on it. So I hope that the truth comes out, and if the truth comes out, then I'm still a pretty good judge of character. Because so we'll see. There's a lot of people I like and a lot of people I don't like involved in this. And we'll stay tuned to that, because I will come out. I'll speak out about it once I get the details.
No one should
But,
ever have to go through.
yeah,
any of that,
it's
nobody should ever be taken advantage of for any personal gain on any level, especially. In
this is
education.
fucking terrible. If half of what I just read was true, just skimmed over for 30 seconds. That's why I'm going to say something about it, but I'm not going to get into details right now.
Okay.
No names. So now that I have successally brought the whole friggin' room down.
Yeah. Wow. I was going to talk about football. Some Aaron.
Yeah, because
Rodgers.
I was getting tired of talking about coronavirus.
Yeah,
I don't want to get it. So-
Pro Football Focus came out with a list of the top so many players, 50 players, I think, in the league across all the positions.
Oh no! All right, back up, give him room, box out, isolation.
I've been
All
saying
right,
it.
Good, isolation, ISO.
I've been saying
ISO
it.
1, you're on.
Green Bay took.
How about that, Aaron Rodgers, huh?
Listen, the writing is on the wall. It's been on the wall. You don't take, and we've said it, you don't take a quarterback like you did in that position to sit him for 5 years. Okay, that's just not how it works. So clearly there's issues. Well, Pro Football Focus has Aaron Rodgers outside of the top 50. So, of course, people up in arms, how could that be? How could that be? How could that be? Okay, well, we're numbers guys here. When there was a split in Green Bay when McCarthy left, you either pretty much chose, the coach's side, which very few do, and it's mostly, if you choose the player's side, which most people did. Aaron Rodgers, you can imagine the greatest player. At that time, GOAT was being tossed around for Aaron Rodgers. Greatest quarterback of all time. Well, that's kind of not true and ridiculous. Since McCarthy's gone, Aaron Rodgers' numbers have gone down across the board. Okay, passer rating, touchdowns, wins and losses, such. And you can argue Green Bay's a better football team to some degree, at least by wins and losses. They got to the NFC Championship game. Aaron Rodgers, the numbers are still good on its own, but compared to some of the other quarterbacks that are out there, maybe not so much. We've illustrated that his win-loss record on the road, he's a below 500 quarterback on the road. Tough to be the greatest of all time if you can't win somebody else's building. But, again, all this blowback about how did he not make the list. Well, I got reasons why, and I got a couple of quarterbacks I wrote down that you may argue with, may not, that I would rather have than Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I'd just like to go through the list of guys and tell me if you agree or not. Now, there are some obvious ones. Like, if you had to choose today between, again, using Aaron Rodgers as one side, Lamar Jackson. Who are you taking? I'm taking Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes. Russell Wilson. I'm taking Russell Wilson. What about Jimmy Garoppolo? Highest winning percentage of any quarterback right now with that many starts. I'm going to say I'm taking Jimmy over Aaron Rodgers. Here's one for you. Guy that's been playing for about 36 years now. Tom Brady. You got 2 years left. You taking Brady? You taking Rodgers? I'm taking Brady. Here's two more guys that I think I'd rather have. That I can understand maybe getting some blowback on. But you taking Kyler Murray over Aaron Rodgers right now? 5-year plan.
Yeah,
I'm taking Kyler Murray. It's not even close.
Keeper league?
Not even close.
Keeper league?
Here's another one that you might push back a little harder on because of your allegiance to your Dolphins. But what about Sam Darnold? Let's talk about the Jets for a minute, okay? I mean, we've talked about in the past owners and coaches and issues and organizations that have been held back. You can say the Jets are clearly in that landscape, okay? In the last 3 or 4 years, in their drafts, I believe they have one starter on the team right now over the last 4 years. So they haven't drafted very well. Galladay now is gone. The safety Williams wants out. You can clearly see the landscape of the Jets. They're in trouble, okay? Their offensive line hasn't been very good. But yet, last year, once Darnold came back from his mononucleosis,
They went 7-9.
6-2 down the stretch.
Right.
Passer rating in the top 5 in the NFL.
Yeah.
2 rushing touchdowns. I think his touchdown interception was like 11-4. Again, playing the Patriots, playing the Bills, playing other teams in the AFC.
Wasn't an easy schedule.
Not at
I
all.
hate the Jets, and I recognize that.
Not at all. So
Hate them.
I think a large part of players' successes are just basically where they are. And, people are saying now Joe Burrow and the first-round pick and first pick overall and the success he's going to have. And we've said it. I've said it. He is in one of the worst landing spots that he could have potentially landed at this point. Now, again, you're saying Cincinnati may turn it around, new coaching, okay. But they've been bad for so long. I'm the type of guy that likes to kind of see it before I kind of even expect for it to happen. And their up-road battle in that division this year between the Steelers and their defense, the Browns on paper and how they're going to improve, and certainly the Ravens. It's more so where you are. You're a product of your environment in the NFL as opposed to just your talent, because talent alone doesn't win in the NFL. So, again, just pointing out quarterbacks, if you were choosing right now, if you had to give me either Sam Darnold or Aaron Rodgers, I'm taking Sam Darnold. And it's not close for me. So I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is a bad quarterback, because he's not. He still has elite level talent, elite arm, accuracy, leadership, I guess you can say to some degree. He's been on a lot of winning organizations. I mean, the Packers, they've won a lot of games. The players don't necessarily have bad things to say about him, so he's not that stigma in the locker room type leader. But there's something missing. And again, clearly it's missing because Green Bay as an organization, and whatever the coach wants to say, and whatever the ownership wants to come out and say, you don't make moves like that and take quarterbacks and move up to get quarterbacks in the first round, a project quarterback no less, and put him behind your guy. Okay, it just to me,
Just please don't trade him to the Patriots.
it doesn't smell right. It doesn't seem right. I predicted the Packers are going to be one of those teams that's going to struggle this year. Struggle not per se against the backdrop of the NFL. They'll be a winning team. They'll compete for the division. But I just don't
They went
see...
12-4 last year. How prodigious of a drop do you expect?
Again, it doesn't have to be so much even wins and losses. But, again, they're a team that should get to the playoffs. That's not even what I'm necessarily saying. But to get through the playoffs, given all the things we've talked about, all the hurdles and difficulties that these teams are going to have to face, you're going to have to kind of run perfect here through this in order to get to the end. And I just don't see how Rodgers and the Packers are going to be in a position come the end of the year to be able to do that. So, again, it's just my gut feeling. I mean, again, once there's dissension in the locker room, especially now, there has to be a drive in one direction. Everybody has to be on the same train going on the same track. And that, I don't think, is the case for the Packers this year. So, we'll see. Sam Darnold. Yeah, Kyler Murray. Cam Newton's doesn't have a job right now, and I think part of the reason why is because a lot of these teams have their quarterbacks, and they feel like
For sure.
And it's different now. These guys coming out, especially in the last few years, these guys can all play. There's no more projects anymore. Even Tua coming out for the Dolphins.
Right. Well, there's no team right now that cannot. There's no team in the NFL right now that can say that they don't have at least a candidate, a strong candidate to be their starting quarterback. Whether it's the Washington Redskins, which by the way, Ron Rivera has said a lot of very nice things about Cam Newton, and he has also said that would he have Cam Newton on his team if we needed a quarterback? If we
As a backup,
if we were in a position where we needed a
They didn't have
quarterback,
Haskins. Who's improving too?
he has said over and over, I still think Cam is an excellent quarterback. I think that people sell him short. So don't be surprised if they have a problem in Washington. Boom, that's the first place he goes.
Sure. Well, it's up to Haskins this year to take another step forward.
Right, but there's no rift. There's no rift there between Rivera
No.
and Newton. Just get that straight.
The only thing keeping Cam from getting a job is Cam. is his lack of ability to be a consistent football player.
Well,
It's not even the injuries. We've talked about it, and I strongly feel this way. Again, system quarterback or not, you have to be accurate in the NFL. You
Right.
have to be able to throw the ball to a spot. And that's never been his strength. His
Right.
strength has been physical.
Improvisation.
Improvisation, beat you down, and that's fine.
Right.
But when you get to a point in your career where you can't rely on that anymore, you
Right.
have to get better in other areas of your game.
Right, well,
and
the-
he has not been able to do that.
Right. Well, the guy who has caused him to have so much success is Mike Shula, his offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. And Mike Shula is a script guy, sort of like the Shanahans of the world, sort of like the Schottenheimers of the world. He's a script guy. Okay. Once he was able to get Cam to buy into the script thing, and Cam was able to, at least the first 15 plays, the first quarter, I don't care whether down in distance, here's the script. Okay? Everything else is improv. If it gets busted, then go do you. And once he got Cam to buy into the script process, Cam's level of play shot through the roof. He had the MVP season. They went to the Super Bowl, all of the above. Okay? So, once again, I give it to you that Cam Newton, the best place for Cam Newton to go is Washington, because that is the place where he will achieve the most success, because he's had the people who have helped him achieve the most success.
Okay.
Oh, that's a fact, Jack.
You can buy into that. See how it plays out. There, like we've talked about, there will be teams that will have needs through the year, certainly, and the quarterback position will be no different. So the guys that are on the fringe right now, that are looking in, certainly have a good opportunity to find employment as the season progresses.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep, most definitely.
For sure.
Now, I would be remiss as a Miami Dolphin fan, especially a longtime Miami Dolphin fan since birth.
Yeah, we had a
We were
passing.
born in the same year.
We had a passing.
Yes, the one and only Jim Kick, better known as a halfback. Back in the day, they called him halfback, just not RB, HB. There was halfback, tailback, fullback, quarterback. Jim has passed away at the age of 73. Jim Kick personified the type of running back that Don Shula loved. Loved. A complete running back. A complete running back, a guy who can pass block, a guy who can run hard and doesn't cough up the football, a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield. Okay, a complete team player, a productive team player. He was David Johnson before David Johnson was David Johnson. If you had David Johnson in the same backfield with Larry Zonka and Mercury Morris, that's the type he was. He was David Johnson before David Johnson. He was a complete back.
Three down back. they
Okay,
use the
three
term,
down back.
Which they don't really use as much anymore.
Right.
Now you have the guys that come in on specialty downs,
Right.
and pass blocking downs.
And when this guy was told that his starting job, because he was part of a famous backfield, Butch and Sundance, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Larry Zonka and Jim Kick, when he was told that he was losing his starting job, his first and second down job, to Mercury Morris, who was a prolifically talented, and it showed every chance he got. The guy was just epic. When he was told he was going to have to sit and become a more situational player, he threw himself into it. And he became the cog in the machine that helped the Dolphins. There would be no 17-0 without a guy like that. Without a guy like that picking up blitzes. Without a guy like that catching screen passes and taking them 12 yards for a touchdown. Or getting that 1-yard plunge where everybody's expecting Zonka over here, you get Kick over here. You get Zonka here, pitch, touchdown. Jim Kick. I thought Jim Kick retired. You know what I'm saying? He was an ultimate teammate. He was a bit of a pillar in the Miami community. He was a football legend. He was a good guy. I've met him several times. He was a very good guy, very sweet man, very, very nice, and he was a genuinely nice guy. So I'm sad at his passing. There's too many of the 72 club passing away. It's sad for me. And because he was such a good, I mean, he didn't say a word about losing his starting job. Didn't say a word. He just threw himself in it. I mean, everybody else was madder about it. Mercury Morris was like, yeah, I mean, that's just how football is. I mean, he's a great guy. I know that if I go out there, I've got to produce. I've got to take it next level. I've got to do that much more. I've got to do at least what Jim did or more. Yeah. Okay, and Jim did a lot. Jim does a lot for this team. And often you would see all three of those running backs on the field too, which was crazy, because you would see them line up in a full house backfield, and then all of a sudden Mercury would go in motion.
Army-Navy days.
Oh, it was insane.
We're going to run the wishbone.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and he was, like I said, he was such a he played special teams. This is a guy who was a starter. This is a guy, but he was like, I'm here to play football. So the guy who was the starter for 2 years in 71, 72, suddenly he gets relegated to third down back and short yardage guy and pass protection guy, blitz pickup guy, because he had ask your boy Lambert, okay, you ask him, and I'd be like, yeah, Jim Kick tried to knock the rest of my teeth out when I came in on a blitz, okay. You ask any linebacker from back then, and they'll be like, just watch out for 21. Why? Well, he's only 5'11", but he will stick the crown of his helmet in your mouth. He'll get up under you. He'll get up under you and knock you out. Can't tell you how many times I've seen it, and they show it over and over. You see a Monday Night Football game with the Miami Dolphins, and here comes a linebacker blitzing, and who steps right up? 21. Bam! And you see the guy's head snap back because he threw himself into football. Even though I was sad when I was a kid, when the big three took off, Zonka, Kick, and Warfield, they all took off for the World Football League. I'm happy they got paid. I'm happy Jim got paid, okay? Because they were working for the cheap NFL, and we're working for one of the cheapest teams in the NFL, yeah. Okay? With a guy named Charlie Winner as your personnel director, who was a penny pincher, and he had a penny pincher of an owner behind him. Okay, so I'm glad he got paid. Okay, he deserved to get paid. All three of those guys deserved to get paid. That was the dumbest move of Joe Robbie and Charlie Winner's career, because those three guys stay, the Dolphins have a chance to go back and back and back, and they're always in the AFC Championship. The hole that they left after they took off and Mercury Morris had the knee injury, that was the end of the grinding Miami offense. Okay, so I'm glad Jim got paid. I'm glad Jim was beloved in the community, and it was a good run, Jim. So rest in peace, Jim Kick. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me in my childhood. You are a legend. You are a great example of what a football player should be. And yeah, that's it. I brought the room down again. God, I'm such a mope today.
You can talk about aliens if you want to.
No. Let's see. We've done Father's Day. You know what's really funny about my upbringing? My dad was never really a sports guy. My dad was a hunting, fishing, hot rod guy. And subsequently, if I have to hunt, I can hunt. It's disgusting. You know why I don't hunt? Publix is 3 blocks away. Okay, they got hamburger, they got chicken.
It's already wrapped up too.
Right, and wrapped. Yeah. Nice. I can get it pre-prepared.
You don't have to fillet a deer.
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh, have you ever witnessed the dressing of a field dressing of an animal?
No.
I've witnessed a deer and a hog.
I fillet fish
both
myself.
Gross.
Yeah. Never a field.
I've cleaned a fish.
I've cleaned many fish.
Yeah.
But they're dead, and you cut the head off. And
there's a lot of blood. The smell is just like on another level. I almost puked. I mean, I was 11 and 12, but I looked, I watched. So if it's the end of the world, if we get into a dystopian society and I have to survive, I know I could do that. I'd fish a lot first. I'd do a lot of fishing first.
Do a lot of sushi.
A lot of sushi. But yeah, my dad was a hunting and fishing guy, and race car, stock car races at Hialeah Speedway. And
what kind of flag did they fly when you were down and watch racing?
Yeah, easy.
Just kidding.
Easy. There's going to be enough redneck crying today
Because
5,000 people are being allowed into Talladega to see today's show. Today's super speedway with NASCAR.
But only half of them.
You're not even allowed to wear a rebel flag on your shirt. The Confederate battle flag has been banned, And before we get into sociopolitics, nah, good. But I honestly wouldn't have had it any other way. I mean, it would have been nice to have a sports dad, but it also enabled me to engage in my passion, my brother engage in his passion for sports. And we didn't play a lot of organized sports, but we were sandlot monsters. And yeah, I honestly wouldn't have had it any other way because having my dad ingrain the skill set that he ingrained in myself and my brother, that would be much more useful to us in not only everyday situations, but in an emergency situation, in a crisis situation.
Yeah, wouldn't matter.
Much more useful to be able to shoot a gun, clean a gun, hunt an animal, fish, know your asshole from your elbow, okay?
Start a fire.
Start a fire, survival skills,
Yeah.
which were just fun to us back then. But, go make the campfire, come back over. Why aren't you done making the campfire yet? It's been 4 minutes. So happy Father's Day, Dad. I can't go see my father today because of coronavirus fears.
Yeah.
Okay, he has pre-existing conditions,
Yeah.
and as sad as I am, I got a card and everything. I bought a card last year. I bought one card too many for Father's Day last year, and I saved it, and I can't even use it this year. But if you are watching, Dad, which I doubt he is, he never watches me. He's not a sports dad.
I think my dad's watching. He coached me for many
happy
years.
Father's Day, Matt's dad.
He coached me through little leagues and stuff like that for several seasons. Some of the dads and stuff like that. So that was,
And you were
those
still
good
that
memories.
bad?
Those were good memories. Yeah, we had some good teams. More had some good teams.
You went to FAU baseball, right?
I did play FAU baseball. Yes. So yeah, I've got
Twice.
I've got some great memories, obviously, with my dad in sports and growing up. We've watched a few games together. I think I even posted this a few years ago. The unfortunate passing of Roy Halladay recently. That's been come up in the news. I remember a situation where I was with my dad. We watched his perfect game against the Marlins. This is going back about
Yeah, I watched it on TV.
About 9 years now. So we were in the living room watching that game together. So I've got some good memories, sports related too, with my dad as well. But so happy Father's Day, Dad, as well, and to all the fathers that are out there and will be watching or are watching. And there's some good news there. That's a good way to end it.
On a positive note,
Yeah.
I'm done bringing the room down.
Death and despair and everything else we've talked about.
What? Hey, listen, okay. A sexual assault scandal is not my fault. I'm giving you breaking news without the big chyrons. Breaking news. And I may address that in the future as the legalities pan out. We may address that in the future.
Yeah.
I've just been getting a lot of old pro wrestling memories. The Kings of Carnage event that happened at the Davie Rodeo Arena back in 2004 that I was a part of, where pretty much it was 3 minutes of me whooping on somebody and then getting my forehead crushed by a plastic chair. Sounded like a gunshot going off. And then my pleasure, my brush with greatness with Kevin Sullivan and Abdullah the Butcher, where essentially I let Kevin Sullivan beat the crap out of me for about 30 seconds. But yeah, those are my brush with greatness. So those are coming out. Oh well, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Who's gonna?
Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah, of course. I was a bad guy turned good guy turned bad guy, and the crowd was like, "Oh, boo!" And then my partner, my tag team partner from the Redneck Mafia, he was popular. Whether we were bad guys or good guys, he was popular because he had the redneck gimmick. He had the Confederate battle flag hat.
Yeah.
He came out wearing the Confederate battle flag. Okay, we're talking about a Jewish guy from Lauderhill who couldn't have been anything farthest from a redneck. And he was we were in Davie. It was like the mayor.
Home. That was, yeah.
Oh yeah,
that was home.
Those
right
are
there.
his people.
Yeah.
We used to laugh all the time at everybody, all the rednecks, so we get all worked up when he came out. Woo! And he turned out to be a bad guy. Boo! They go woo to boo. It was great. But that was another time, long ago, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
If he'd have tried to come out with that gimmick right now, people throw eggs at him
Or worse, get shot.
or ban him from a NASCAR race.
Yeah.
He'd never get into a NASCAR race dressed like that. All right. Besides those parting shots, anything else? Anything else you want to share? We've already done the Happy Father's Days. We're not going to do aliens. We're 6 minutes over time.
We need to do aliens next week. We need to save a 5-minute alien spot.
5-minute alien spot.
For next
All
week.
right. We'll see what aliens think about sports. How about
They
that?
may even be here by then. So,
Oh, okay. Well, then it's alien sports.
Yeah, so we should be prepared.
All right. Well, on behalf of myself and the Maz, say goodbye to the nice people.
See you later.
All right. You can catch him at MLBJoyUs on Instagram, and that's pretty much the only place. I mean, well, Matthew Masaracchio on Facebook, but you have to learn how to spell it first.
There's a
And
lot
of
of
course,
vowels.
with me and the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk and the Gonzo Radio Network, you can go ahead and just search Gonzo Radio on any platform, and that's who we are, because I personally made sure that we're the #1 search. So, yeah, on behalf of myself and the Maz, thank you very, very much for watching, and we will see you guys next week. Yeah, next week, 11 o'clock, sharp, here on the Gonzo Radio Network. Peace.